So, our PEMDAS. So we're talking about our grouping symbols, like I was talking about, okay? We're not always going to have just parentheses. We will have parentheses, but does anybody know what else we might have in order to show a grouping symbol? Brackets, good. And we're going to say brackets look like a half square, right? It's kind of like a parenthesis, but instead of the curve, it's got straight edges. And then you might also have the brackets that are that have like the little squiggly line in the middle, correct? You know what I'm talking about? So those, yeah, they kind of, kind of like a 3. So those can all be grouping symbols, plus one more, our fraction bar. So if we see a large fraction bar, that's going to tell us to do everything on top and bottom of that fraction bar first before we go any further. Okay. All right, and then like we said, after we take care of our parentheses, our grouping, our exponents, we move on to multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction. But remember, we have to do our multiplication and division, all of that first, before we can move on to addition and subtraction, right? But what if I have a problem that just has multiplication and division in there? So say I have 2 divided by 3 times 5. Do I have to do that division first or that multiplication first? You just do the problem from left to right, right? So it doesn't matter which one you do first. Or you don't always do the multiplication first, even though it's said first. You just do the problem left to right. So if the division comes first, you do the division first. Okay? Same for the addition and subtraction. If you have 2 plus 3 minus 5, you're just going to work the problem left to right. Okay? So we're going to write that in our bubble. We're going to say we're doing them in the same phase. Together from left to right. Together from left to right. And then I want to talk about how I want you to show your work, so that I can tell exactly how, or exactly what steps you're taking, and if you make any mistakes, I know where those mistakes are happening, okay? So when you are doing these problems, I want you to do all of your work vertically. So I'm just going to say up and down. So not horizontally, I want it all going straight up and down, okay? And then I want only one step per line. Because if you do a lot of steps all in one, chances are you're going to make a couple of mistakes. Or if you do make those mistakes and I'm looking at your work, I'm not going to know where those mistakes were made because everything was kind of done in one jumble. Okay? So try to keep it all separate. Got it? Alright, so let's look at some examples. Number 1, I have 24 minus 2 cubed times 2 plus 5. So what do you think is the first thing I'm going to take care of? Camden? 2 cubed. Yeah, my exponents. I'm going to do that 2 cubed first. So everything else in that problem, I'm just going to copy down. So I have 24 minus, what is 2 cubed? All right, 8. Good. So 24 minus 8 times 2 plus 5. Okay, what's next? Multiplication. So I want to do that 8 times 2. So I have 24 minus 16 plus 5. Yes, ma'am. What's next? Good. Since I only have subtraction and addition left, I'm doing it just left to right. So 24 minus 16 first, which is what? 8. So I have 8 plus 5, and then that gives me an answer of 13. Good. Questions on that one? Okay. Number 2, I have 5 minus 2 plus 9 minus 8. So all I have is subtraction and addition. So how am I going to work this? Left to right. Good. So first, 5 minus 2 gives me 3. So I have 3 plus 9 minus 8. Then I want to do my addition, 9 plus 3. So I have 12 minus 8. And then what's my final answer? 4. Good. Number 3 is where it gets a little bit tricky. Not really tricky, just more steps. So I've got 35 minus, all enclosed in brackets, 12 plus 3 times, in parentheses, 1 plus 2. So this is why we need to know all of our grouping symbols. So what do I need to do first? Okay. I need to do those parentheses that are inside of that bracket first. So the brackets tell me that everything inside of that needs to be taken care of first. But when there's parentheses even inside of that, I know that I have to do that before I can do anything else. Okay? So I have 35 minus 12 plus 3 times what? 3. All inside of brackets. So I know I still have to take care of the brackets first. So what inside of that do I need to do? The multiplication. Good. So 35 minus 12 plus 9. Now what? The addition. Because my addition is still inside the brackets, that tells me that I have to do that first. I'm not going to go left from right. I'm going to do those brackets first, okay? So I've got 35 minus 21. And then what's my final answer? Come on. 14. Good. Any questions on that problem? Okay. Number 4. 4 plus 1 in parentheses squared divided by 1 to the 4th. So what's first? Parentheses. Good. So I'm going to add my 4 plus 1. So that gives me 5 squared divided by 1 to the 4th. So now I have exponents. So I know that I need to solve those. So 5 squared is what? 25. And what's 1 to the 4th? 1. So what's 25 divided by 1? 25. Good. Steps like this, I'm okay with you doing it all in one. So if you went ahead and said 25 divided by 1, I'm okay with that. But if it's like a bunch of brackets with other things inside of it, that's when I really prefer that you do it all together, or all separately. Okay. But simple stuff like that, I'm good with you combining. Questions on that one? Okay. Number 5. So here is my fraction bar that I was talking about. Can somebody tell me what that fraction bar means to? Yes, Sam. It means division. Good. So if I had 2 over 5, that means 2 divided by 5. Or if I had 10 over 5, that means 10 divided by 5. Okay? So don't forget that. All right, so what am I going to do first here? Kaya. Good. I want to divide that 9 and that 3 first. So I have 2 plus 5 minus 2 on top. And then 6 plus 3 on bottom. Now what? Yeah. 5 minus 2. I want to do what's on top. So I have 2 plus 3 over 6 plus 3. And then I want to do that bottom next. So 3 over 9. What now? What do you think? Okay. What? Divide the 3 and the 9. So I can simplify that, right? So what am I going to take out of both top and bottom? I'm going to take 3 out. So if I do that, that leaves me with 2 plus 1/3, correct? So what is 2 plus 1/3? 2 and 1/3. So, can y'all see that? Sorry. So here, right here, you could go ahead and make 2 a fraction. You could put it over 1, and then you could find a common denominator and add the 2. But that's going to give you an improper fraction, right? Which you're going to have to then convert to a mixed number. So if you do all that, you're still going to get the correct answer. But if you just put 2 and 1/3 together, you already have your mixed number. Saves you a couple steps, okay? Questions on that? All right. Flip over. We're not going to do everything on the back, but there are a few. Excuse me. There are a few that I want you to look at. First, everybody look at 1 through 4 real quick and see if there's one that you aren't quite sure to work out, and I will do it. But I think you probably are okay with those. Does anybody see numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4 that you think you don't know how to do? We good on those? All right, so let's look at example number 5 then. So what's different here? What do I have in here that I didn't have on the front? Not a fraction bar. A square root, right? I have a square root in there. So what did we learn yesterday about perfect squares and square roots? Are they the same? Not the same. They're the opposite, right? So when you talk about parentheses and exponents, knowing that you have to do parentheses and exponents first, those square roots are going to kind of fall into that category as well, okay? So anytime that you see a square root, you're going to want to do parentheses, exponents, square roots, all of that first before you move on, okay? So the first thing I need to do here is I need to figure out what the square root of 16 is. So can somebody tell me what that is? Valentina? 4. Good. Remember, you're looking for a number multiplied by itself that's going to give you the number under the radical. Okay. So now I have 28 divided by 4 times 3. I am doing all of my work horizontally only because I don't have room. Okay. So what do I need to do now? Good. What does that give me? 7. So I have 7 times 3, which gives me an answer of 21. Same goes for that next problem. 125 divided by the square root of 25 times 7. You want to find that square root of 25 first. So you have 125 divided by 5, and then multiply that by 7. Does anybody know what 125 divided by 5 is? Okay, 25. Good. So that means I have 25 times 7, which gives me yes, ma'am. Good. 175. Questions on any of those examples? Did we basically already know it already? For the most part. Yeah. All right. Your classwork / homework, and you have a good amount of time to do it, so you might be able to finish it, is called postponed payment. So once I get this passed out to everybody, I will explain